Hi friends, welcome to this week's Yin practice. Get out your props and let's get started right away. So let's start on the back. So find your comfortable position on your back, legs stretched out in front of you. You might take them almost as wide as the mat. Maybe you're taking them even wider than the mat. Arms comfortably at your sides with the palms facing upward. Or if you prefer to take that pentacle pose with the arms wide over the head, take whatever shape makes sense for you in this moment. And then let's close the eyes. And just start to bring your attention and awareness into the body. So finding a heaviness, letting the whole back side of the body get really heavy into the mat, into the earth. Feel that you're being held up, you're being supported, you're being protected. And then start to scan the body, looking for places of maybe where you're holding some tension, so noticing the hands. Notice your jaw. Notice your hips. Notice the belly. Just see where you can soften. And then bring the awareness to the mind. And just notice your mental state. How are you doing mentally in this moment? Notice your emotional state. How are you feeling emotionally in this moment? So being really honest with ourselves, not denying or judging our thoughts and feelings, just noticing. And then let's start to bring our awareness to our breath. So start to notice your breath. And right away, let's take in some full deep breaths in through the nose. Full deep breaths out through the nose. Every round of breath, see if you can add even more length and depth to each cycle of breath. Use the breath, let it wash through the entire body. Take 3 more full breaths. And then slow the breath back down, come back to just your natural, normal breath. And blink your eyes open. And then let's move right into our first shape. So a supine butterfly pose. Let's bring the soles of the feet to touch. And then the knees drop out towards the sides of the room. And for this practice, play around with the position of the feet. So you might try drawing the feet towards the front of the mat and see how that feels. You might try drawing the feet really close in towards the groin and see how that feels. You might end up somewhere in the middle, but play around with the position of the feet and then decide where you want to stay. Which shape makes the most sense for you in this moment. If it's too much on the hips already, you could always take your fist and then place your fists underneath the tops of the thighs. Of course, you could use a couple of blocks or anything that would be supportive underneath the thighs. And then find a position with the arms that work for you. So maybe comfortably by your sides, maybe into a T. You might even reach the arms over the head. Maybe cactus the arms by bending the elbows, palms facing up. Just play around with what works for you in this moment. And then I will review. For most of you, it'll be review the 3 key principles of Yin. If you're new to my practice or my classes, then maybe this is new information. But there are 3 key principles of Yin: softness, stillness, and steadiness. So 3 S's. The first one, softness. We come into each shape really mindfully, softly. So we're not trying to find our maximum edge. We are coming into each shape. Our muscles are cool in Yin. And we're just finding kind of our first edge, never the maximum edge in Yin. And then our second principle being stillness. So once we get set up in each pose, each shape with our props or just with our body, we then find stillness. So we try and stay as still as we can be. We try and avoid fidgeting and wiggling and movement as much as possible, unless we're going deeper into the shape as the time goes on. But otherwise we're staying. So our tickets out of any pose are pain or panic. So if you're feeling any one of those 2 things, pain or panic, then do back out, find a lesser degree of the shape, or back out completely of the posture. And then our third principle being steadiness. So we get into it softly, we find the stillness, and then the steadiness is we remain, we just stay for a significant amount of time in each pose. So we let time do the work for us. The longer we stay in each shape, the more beneficial for our Yin practice. So most of the shapes will hold today between 3 and 5 minutes. But let's not get caught up in worrying about time. Let's just start to notice, how are you feeling in this moment? So how's the body doing here? Where do you need to soften? Where do you need to let go? So again, soften the fingers. Relax the jaw. Notice if you're gripping in your hips. See if you can let go any amount. Let's take a few moments of complete quiet, stilling both body and mind. Take just a few more breaths here in your butterfly pose. And then slowly, let's bring the hands to the outsides of the thighs. Really slowly and gently help the legs back together. Hug your knees in towards the chest, so reverse child's pose, and just spend a few breaths here. Notice whatever there is to notice. Good. Slowly roll over onto your side. And again, no hurry to get anywhere. Just spend a few moments, a few breaths on your side. And then use the support of your hand to help press yourself up to seated. Let's stretch the legs out in front of you. And then let's bring the sole of the left foot into the right thigh. So stretch the right leg long. We will find a fold over the leg. So for some, it might mean just chin towards the chest. For others, you might grab a hold of your bolster, maybe even a bolster and a block. And then just slowly find yourself folding over the leg. So today I can already tell I'm gonna need a block underneath the bolster just to help bring the floor to me. So adjust the props according to how the body's feeling today. So just because you did something last week doesn't mean that it's gonna feel the same in the body this week. So always adjust for each practice, each day. Settle in. Take the first 20 to 30 seconds of the pose to adjust your props, to adjust the body so that you can be as comfortable as you can. Find that stillness we're looking for in Yin. Relax every finger. Relax the belly. Relax your toes. No need to flex and point, engage through that right leg. Let it relax. Notice where the thoughts wandered off to. Where's your mind in this moment? Notice how you're handling and reacting to not just silence within the body and stilling the body, but how are you reacting to silence altogether? Do you try and run away from it? What are the stories that come up? What do you tell yourself in moments of silence and stillness? Remember to breathe and keep coming back to the breath. So there's no certain breathing style here. It's just a reminder to keep breathing, keep coming back to our breath as often as we can. here for about another minute. Can you really surrender into this shape? Last few full, deep, intentional breaths. And slowly bring the hands to the floor. Just slowly press yourself back upright. Move the props off to the side for a moment and then find a shape that makes sense for you. So hands back behind. You might straighten out both legs. You might bend the knees, whatever feels good in the body. Just a few breaths. Feeling the rebound effects of that pose on our body, noticing one side versus the other. And then if the legs are bent, let's straighten the legs back out. This time sole of the right foot comes into the left thigh. And then again, if you're using props for this shape, get them set up. Maybe a bolster, maybe a block, maybe both. And then really slowly and mindfully relax that left leg and then find a fold. You can always bring props underneath your elbows, your forearms if needed as well. Always looking for where we can soften more, where we can let go. So looking for places where we unintentionally hold stress or tension where we don't need to. So for sure our face, for sure our fingers, our toes, our chest and our belly. Notice if this side feels any different than the last. And visualize your breath going right into the tension, right into the stretch. So the back of the left leg, maybe your low back. Notice the quality of your breath here. Remaining as still as we can in this shape. Find your last minute here. See if you can keep the focus on the breath for this entire minute. Last few deep, intentional breaths. And then again, use the support of your hands to press yourself upright. Good, props off to the side again. And then either, again, straightening out the legs, hands back behind. Maybe you bend the knees. Maybe there's something else that would feel better in your body in this moment. Whatever that looks like, just find stillness and feel what there is to feel. Notice what comes up. From here, if the legs are straight, put a bend into the knees. Let's cross at the ankles, hands in front of us. And then take your knees really wide, big toes touch. We're gonna take a child's pose, and that will be our shape for the next few minutes. So you might take your bolster if you have one, and I like to, in child's pose, bring it right up against me, right up against the pelvis, the belly, and then slowly fold myself over the bolster. And you might turn your head in one direction. You might keep your forehead down on the mat. Maybe you don't need use a prop at all here. Just play around with what would feel good in your body in this moment. I will let you know when we're at the halfway mark. So if your head is turned in one direction, I'll let you know when to turn it the opposite way. Let your hips get really heavy here. Let the shoulders soften away from the ears. Really relax the belly. That's why it's nice with a bolster. You can feel that support underneath the chest. If you're not using a prop here, really let your heart, your chest melt towards the earth. Really take in the present moment. Be fully, fully here. We can use our Yin practice as an opportunity to find gratitude. So in these moments of stillness and surrender, you can think about or bring to mind what makes you grateful. And not just in a shape like child's pose where we're often, for most of us, it's comfortable. But even when we're in uncomfortable shapes or situations, see and find gratitude. There's always, always, always something to be grateful for, no matter what is going on in our lives. Always something to be grateful for, even if it's our breath. The fact that we're alive, that's really something to be grateful for. Notice the quality of your breath here. Let your hips get even heavier. Let your body get heavy. Your head is turned in one direction. Now's a great time to turn it to the opposite side, opposite ear. Then again, soften the shoulders. Come back to gratitude. Grateful you have the time to practice, to make it onto your mat, to give yourself these precious moments to better ourselves. These moments of self-love, self-care. So important. The more that we can give and do for ourselves, we have so much more to share and offer with the rest of the world. From the people inside our homes, our families, our friends, our co-workers, to the earth and the world as a whole. Last few full, deep, intentional breaths in child's pose. And slowly bring your hands back underneath the shoulders to help press yourself upwards. Props off to the side. And then let's come on to all fours and just take a few moments on all fours. So just a moment before we go anywhere. Just a couple breaths in tabletop. Reach the crown of the head forward, so find space in the back of the neck. Good. And then from here, we're going to take a variation of shoelace today. So let's bring the knees together and then cross your left leg over the right. Take your feet out nice and wide. Slowly come down onto your seat, whether it's onto a block or all the way to the floor. I'm going to face you guys for this one. And if this is too much for you, you can always straighten out that bottom leg. If you're okay with the knees stacked, then let's stack them and sit up nice and tall for a few breaths to start. Really try and find balance in the sitting bones. Let the hips get heavy. Good. And then grab a hold of your block and then just bring it to anywhere beside you out to the left. And we're gonna bring our elbow to that block, the prop, hand maybe to your face. You can play around with the position of the block too, there's lots of levels. And then reach the right arm up and over. And you might let the arm dangle, you might kind of bring it to the back of the head, whatever feels good for you here. Again, play around with the block, see what feels like you're gonna get a good stretch in the right side body, but where it's not your maximum edge. So no force or strain. Relax the shoulders as much as you can, even though there's some engagement here. And we are not here in this one long, but can we still find all of the principles that we're looking for? Find that softness, find that stillness, find that steadiness. Just another few breaths, about 30 seconds left. And really slowly start to bring yourself back up. Good, let's come back onto all fours. So come onto the hands, uncross the legs. And then sink into either child's pose, or you might just sit back on the heels and sit upright, whatever feels good for you here. Just a moment. Take it all in. Let's find tabletop again, so come back onto hands and knees. Knees fairly close together to start, just so it's easier to cross. Right leg over left, take the feet wide, slowly start to lower down either onto a block or to your seat. I'll face you again. Good, get a stacking of the knees or stretch that left leg along. Prop comes to, of course you could use a bolster here too if it's better for softer for your elbow, but prop to the right side, elbow to the prop, maybe hold your head with the hand if that works. Left arm up and over, maybe bend the elbow, maybe you just reach the arm. What feels best in your body here? You may need your prop on a different level. The block might be higher or lower on one side. We're not symmetrical. We're not the same on each side, so adjust accordingly. Let the sitting bones get heavy. Let the hips get heavy. Really root down through that left sitting bone here to feel even more stretch through the left side of the waist, all up the side, all the way to the arm. Soften the expression on your face. Not much time left. Soften here. Breathe. Take a breath in. Slowly start to bring yourself back upright. Good prop to the side again. Let's come on to hands and knees. So tabletop again, and then find that place of rest for a few moments, whether it's child's pose or hero's pose, sitting on the heels. How are you feeling in this moment? From here, we're going to slide ourselves onto our belly. So find your way onto the belly in a really mindful and slow way. And then once you get here, let's stretch the left arm out in front of you. So make sure the hand's coming right out of the shoulder, and then use your right hand as a kickstand to help roll yourself onto your left hip. And then you decide when you get here if you want to keep your legs straight, if you want to bend your knees, whatever feels right for you here. Your right hand can stay where it is. You might want to take a bind here, wrapping that right arm behind you, with the palm facing away from you. So just play around with what feels good. If you feel like you would like a little more, you might take your right foot and bend the knee, bringing the sole of the foot to the floor behind you. That's just an option. You could also do that with a straight left leg. What would feel good in your body here? Take that option. If your head doesn't touch the floor comfortably here, you could always bring a pillow or a block underneath the head. Breathe into the sensations. Breathe into any discomfort. How is the breath? Notice the quality of your breath. How can you breathe in a way so to create more space in the body? Take your last few deep breaths here on the side. If you have the bind, slowly release that right arm. Unwind, bring yourself slowly and mindfully back onto the belly. Cross, or take your elbows wide, cross one palm on top of the other, and then just bring your forehead to the palms here to the tops of the hands here rather. Maybe gently sway the hips side to side, just a little release there if needed. Relax your shoulders. Feel that support from the earth. Feel the belly pressing into the earth as you breathe. And then let's come into the second side. So this time the right arm extends out to the right, hand coming straight out of the shoulder. Again, use our left hand as support to help roll ourselves onto the hip. You play around with position here of the legs, either bending the knees, or maybe you're taking that kickstand with the left foot to the floor behind you. Maybe the right leg straightens. Maybe you take a bind here, wrapping that left hand behind you. So whatever you did on the left side, try and do the same thing on both sides to keep balance within the body. But of course, this side may be a completely different story, so adjust as needed. Where can you soften? Last several intentional breaths here. Deep in the breath here. And slowly release your mind. If you have it, slowly make your way back to the belly again. Take the elbows wide, one hand on top of the other, and again, forehead on top of the hands. Maybe gently sway the hips. Soften. Good. Hands back underneath the shoulders. Press into the hands. Come back onto all fours, so tabletop. And then we're going to transition into frog pose from here. So I like to fold the sides of my mat over and take the knees really wide. I often fold the mat, especially if I'm not on carpet, just to have some extra padding. And then flex your feet. Good. Try and keep the ankles in line with the knees, and then grab any props you need here and slowly fold yourself forward. You might just stay on the hands and just drop the head, but of course if you can come down onto the forearms, that's awesome. And then turn your head to one side if that feels best. I'll let you know when to switch it up. I do like to have support here underneath the chest, underneath the belly. You can, of course, always layer your props. You could put several pillows underneath you. You could put a couple blocks underneath the bolster to lift you higher if it doesn't feel right to come all the way down with your chest onto the bolster. So always adjusting and playing with the props accordingly, according to what your body needs in every moment. And then come back to gratitude. So in a shape like frog, the pose like frog pose, discomfort is likely going to arise. So just maybe the body's feeling some discomfort. First of all, soften the body as much as we can. But can we find gratitude in our minds? Can we find gratitude in our hearts? What can you feel grateful about in this moment? Grateful for our health. Grateful to live in a country that has so much to offer. Grateful for the food in our fridge. Grateful for our 5 senses. The fact that we can see and taste and hear, feel, smell. Grateful for our families, even if they drive us crazy. Grateful for our friends, even if we only have one. Grateful for the ability to read. Grateful that information is at our fingertips. The ability to learn. If your head is turned in one direction, you can slowly turn the head the opposite way. Grateful for the sunshine, and if it's not sunny where you are, grateful that there's a knowing that one day it will shine again. Grateful we got out of bed. Today we have a new day. Grateful for our jobs. Look for gratitude. Soften every finger. Relax your eyes and eyebrows, your forehead, your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Let go any amount in the hips. Relax your toes. Relax the belly. Relax the chest. Take your last few full intentional breaths in frog pose. Really, really slowly and mindfully use the support of your hands. Slowly start to straighten out your arms. So do this as slowly as you can. You might not have a choice here. And then shift your weight to one side so that you can bring both legs together. Unravel your mat. Make your way into any variation of child's pose. For me, it feels good here with the knees together. Forehead to the earth. Arms might reach behind you. They might reach forward. Take whatever variation feels good for you in this moment. Take a few breaths. Use the support of your hands to slowly press yourself back up. Let us come onto our back. So swing the legs out in front. Slowly come all the way back onto your back. It might feel good to hug the knees into the chest. Just a squeeze. Good. Soles of the feet back to the mat with the knees bent. Let's cross the left knee over top of the right, if that feels good. If you prefer, you could take a twist, just crossing or just stacking one knee on top of the other. Let's take our arms out to the sides. Slowly let your knees fall over to the right. You might take your bolster, should have had it handy, right underneath the knees if that feels good. Your head might turn to the left. You might keep the head at neutral. You might even face the same direction of your knees. Completely up to you, especially for Yin. Soften the shoulders. Can you surrender into your twist? Notice where the mind is, where it's wanting to go. Trying to be as present as possible. Soften that left shoulder. Soften that left hip. If your head is turned to one side, bring it back to center. Let's slowly bring the legs back to center. If your legs are crossed, uncross. Hug the knees into the chest just for a few breaths, a few moments between sides. And then slowly return the feet back to the floor with the knees bent. Right knee crosses over the left. This time, if you're taking that option, maybe bringing your bolster to the outside of that left hip. Arms again out to the sides into a T, and then slowly lower your knees to the left. And then you decide again with your head what works. Soften right in. Shoulders shimmy down away from the ears. Let them get heavy. Your palms might be up or down, whatever suits you in this moment. Relax the fingers, relax the toes. Relax all of the muscles of your face. Come back to gratitude. We can't feel grateful and miserable at the same time, so come back to gratitude. It always will make us feel so much better, so much magic in gratitude. The more grateful we are, the more we'll have to be grateful for, more that will come into our lives to be grateful for and have gratitude towards. If your head is off to one side, slowly bring it to center. Engage the core just enough to bring your knees back to center. Uncross the legs if they're crossed, and then hug the knees into the chest one more time. Grateful that you took this time out for you, for your practice. It's time to better yourself. Let's come into Shavasana from here. So get whatever you need to get comfortable. Stretch the legs out. Maybe put your bolster underneath your knees if that feels good to you. Take up some space. Close the eyes if you haven't yet. Let a little smile come over your face. And then soften. Relax the back of the head. Relax the jaw. Relax the back of the neck, the front of the neck, your throat. Relax the backs of your arms. Relax the fronts of your arms, your palms. Letting the fingers curl in naturally. Relax every part of the spine. Relax your shoulders to your chest, to your belly, to the hips. Relax the legs, the knees, the ankles, the feet and the toes. And then most importantly, relax your brain here. Enjoy these moments of stillness. Be grateful for these moments of stillness. Coming into our Shavasana with so much to be grateful for. I could be annoyed that I can hear my dog clicking around walking across the floor and my neighbor starting up his lawnmower right now, but I'm so grateful anyways. So distractions are normal, they're a part of life. So the fact that all these things happen around us, can we still soften in spite of it? Maybe more challenging, but can we do it? We can do it. If you can take a longer Shavasana, please do. If not, start to take some deeper breaths. Start to take some slight movements, wiggling your fingers and toes, maybe rolling through your wrists and ankles. Take your time and slowly roll yourself onto your side just for a few moments. Fetal position. And then use the support of your hand to press yourself up to a comfortable seated position, the top of your mat. No rush to get here. Sit up nice and tall when you do. Bring your hands together in front of the heart. Bow the head towards the hands. Taking this moment to thank our bodies for the work they do for us every single day. Taking one last moment of gratitude. Think of another person, place, or thing to be grateful for. Keep coming back to gratitude throughout your day. Namaste. Thank you.